What can I say? Ubisoft started this show off right with a game that not only was absolutely nobody expecting, but it was the thing everybody never knew they wanted until they got it. South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Butthole. They are even quoted. Matt Stone and Trey Parker are on record saying they never wanted to make another video game again. Like, even Aisha was pointing that out, telling them, hey, didn't you guys say this a little ways back? But no, they're back. They're actually bringing it back. And not only that, they're changing the tone this time around. We're actually getting into the backstory of your character. I guess, quite literally, the backstory, as in the story of your backside and why it's so powerful in this game. But what can I say about this? It's South Park. Okay, they made 2 industry-related jokes in that trailer. That whole bit about getting a 9.5 on GameSpot, and that whole... Dude, I respect the hell out of these guys for that little quip they had at the end. Pre-order it now. Butters comes up. Yeah, pre-order. That's a good idea. Shut up, Butters! Oh my goodness, these guys know what they're doing. As always, I know exactly how... They do their research. Whenever they decide they're going to make fun of something, they study it intrinsically so that they know exactly what buttons to push. I love... Dude, in the position I'm in, I respect the hell out of anybody who's willing to actively make fun of people for pre-ordering a game they don't even know if it's going to be good or not yet. And to be fair, like I said, this is South Park, so it's worth getting excited for just on that merit alone. But again, we don't know how it's going to play yet. They did say in that trailer, this might be alluding to a couple things, that the combat in the original game, quote, sucked, which I would disagree with in a lot of aspects, but that might be alluding to the fact that they're changing things this time around. They're actually introducing a lot of new concepts, so what direction that takes, we don't know yet. I would like to know. So again, a lot of my opinion is going to be over here for now. I'm getting quite a pile over there, it would look like. This imaginary stack of games that I'm just pushing off to this side. For Honor! A lot of people are sort of describing this as Titanfall meets Chivalry. Which, the thing is, I haven't played Chivalry, and I know that's kind of a sin, because that is one of... A lot of people hail that as a really great multiplayer game, but again, if I can't play it with somebody I know, or somebody locally, it loses a lot of its charm for me, because it's just so easy for me to get mad at people. It's so easy for me to just lose my cool and be like, screw it, I never want to play this game again. But again, it's got that element of there are all these little guys running around the field too, and if you don't want to score points of risking an encounter with another player who will probably destroy you for reasons you feel like were totally out of control, as usually happens to me in arena shooters, you can just go beat up on these dudes for a while. It seems like the type of thing where you have multiple objectives. You can either kill all of the other players, or while they're off goofing around, you can just beat up their entire army because apparently you're a gigantic badass like that, and just help your army crush their gates or whatever. And of course there's that combat system, the whole blocking, countering, maneuvering, attacking in particular ways. It looks like there's a lot of depth to that, and yeah, it's part of why people like Chivalry in the first place, is you have so many options in this melee thing, and it's not guns. That's what's interesting about it. I hate to say it, but a massively multiplayer game that doesn't rely on ranged weapons of any kind is actually kind of a novelty these days. By the way, special note goes out to the guy who actually presented these games, and this is a theme we're going to hear. This is another thing we got a lot of this year, is people who really believed in what they were talking about. Like, that guy, whatever he's selling, I am totally behind, because he had this air about him. He walks on stage with this cape. He felt like a Viking warlord that fell into the water and was cryogenically frozen for 2 centuries, and they just thawed him out and said, hey, we're immortalizing your people in this game. You want to talk about it for a couple minutes? He's like, yeah, duh. And then we got the crew Wildrun, which, if I sound a little exasperated and confused at the same time, it's because I was impressed by this game. And I didn't expect to be. And I will admit, it's mostly because of the setting. There's something about the idea that they're doing all of these desert events. They're doing all of these sort of events where you see people come out from miles around because it's this specialty niche thing where they're only going to see these specific types of off-road races. And I think that's part of what's so appealing about this game is the idea that Wildrun introduces these things that feel fun. Because what you associate with racing games these days is tracks, roads, pavement. A lot of what you're driving on is this smoothed out asphalt, and maybe it curves in a different way than the other ones, and maybe some rain falls every now and then and gives you some really shiny cars to show off in all your trailers, but now we're getting things like monster trucks and ramps that you can jump off of. Like that clip where the monster truck catches the ramp on the top and it does the front flip, I went, sold. I am so on that. I am all over that. It just looked fun. It's what I was saying earlier in one of the previous conferences, is that it's so cool to see a game do something different, that do something that feels fresh and interesting, and make it look that good to boot. I can't believe I'm saying this. I had no interest in the crew before, but Wildrun, yeah, I want to give that a shot. Okay, I'll give Ubisoft credit for this. Trials Fusion Awesome Level Max was another one that had absolutely no gameplay. I mean, you can kind of glean what it's going to be about based on what the other Trials games were, which was riding around and hoping your bike doesn't explode horribly, except now you're a cat with an assault rifle riding on the back of a unicorn. So you can make a safe assumption about how this is going to play out, but out of all the trailers that had no gameplay in them, or at least nothing we could discern as gameplay, this was one of the most entertaining ones. And again, it goes to the idea of this looks like a game that is completely self-aware and knows exactly what it is, what it's doing, and what it's trying to achieve in this world, and it just looks like pure stupid. I could turn my brain off for a couple hours while playing this and just revel in the stupid humor I'm going to experience. So, yeah. I'm going to love every single minute of that game when it comes out. And you are too. Don't even lie. You're going to enjoy that game way more than you would ever admit on a public forum. Next on the block, Anno 2205. It's interesting that this is coming off something like a Civilization Beyond Earth. This is coming after that. And I know Anno has always been about city building. It's always been this game about a little bit of strategy, and it has that futuristic aspect to it. Unfortunately, that's all I know about the series. This is another one of those that I just have not been following, but has a intensely devoted fan base. Anno players, from what I understand, really, really love that franchise. But I don't know. Again, it's one of those games that seems a little slow for me. I can't get into Civilization. I spent when Beyond Earth went free on Steam, I spent an entire day playing one game. 8 hours of my life gone. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I can't make a habit out of this. I can't just burn my life away trying to build one city and make it into something incredible. My brain is not built in such a way to accommodate that type of gameplay, but there are some people out there who are. The entire reward is seeing this one city grow into the greatest thing the world has ever known, and now that we've got space travel in the series, the greatest thing the universe has ever known, which is fantastic. That that brings a new level of escalation to it, doesn't it? Just, you've gotten so much money and you've expanded so far that you can start colonizing the moon. On that level alone, this looks like a really interesting game. It's doing some things, again, that I haven't seen in a strategy game before, so if you like this kind of thing, don't let me detract from it at all. Go enjoy that as much as you possibly can, because from what I'm seeing, there's a lot to enjoy if that's your bag. Just dance, it'll be okay in 2016. Also, Lord Almighty, I cannot be buggered to remember his name. The guy who does that one song that I hear on the radio all the time. Shotgun, yes please. Why does everybody make it such a big deal whenever celebrities come on stage? And I get that it's a music game, I get that his songs are in the game, because that's the whole point of Just Dance, is that it has current music that people, that is still relevant for now. That's probably why they keep having yearly sequels, it's because people get sick of half the songs in the game. And I just, don't let me take away from that. It's another one of those things where I got tired of motion control games quite some time ago, and it's really cool. I will not take this away from them. It's really cool that they're doing features like you can just use the camera on your smartphone, which we'll see how well that turns out, because not all cameras on smartphones are the Kinect sensor. Let's put it that way. In fact, they might function even less than the Kinect sensor, which is saying something. But, that considered, if you like this kind of thing, don't let me take away from it. It's just, I have not had a reason to dance ever since Star Wars Kinect. Like, that is the last game I actually danced to, just because the concept of it was so ridiculous. That just, you can't beat that. I don't think anybody will ever be able to top, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo. Oh my goodness, moving on. Dude, TrackMania Turbo though. I was aware of TrackMania, actually. I knew about this series, and I knew what it was all about, which was just this really fast-paced, jump-in, jump-out racing game. Everything has micro-machines physics, or the cars are kind of floaty. If they go so fast, they might actually start levitating off the ground and breaking from Earth orbit, Kid Flash style. And they're doing a lot of really cool things with this too. Like, not only can you build your own tracks, they just have you press a button and it'll create a new challenge for you, which means literally infinite levels. You could just hop in anytime and play something new. This is what I love about this generation. The fact that we have come so far that we can just press a button and have it generate brand new content for us that doesn't do it in any of the traditional ways. It's sort of like a randomly generated roguelike. There's always something new. It'll generate new signage, different jumps, different turns. That's the kind of thing I look at and I go, huh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's actually a really interesting feature. It might be something that actually is worth it. I would never even have thought of something like that, but apparently people who work with this type of game every day and have that kind of inspiration are managing to fill that hole in my life. So good on you guys. I want to experience that. I want to see just how far that particular pit goes, how deep into the abyss of randomly generated tracks I can go before I start getting bored of it. Something tells me it's going to take a while, because TrackMania is just one of those games that is built for that specific kind of purpose. You hop in for 30 seconds, you can have a meaningful experience. So, yeah, I think they're going to get some mileage out of that, if you will. Please don't kill me. And then they had Assassin's Creed Syndicate, because of course they did. Can't be an Ubisoft conference without an Assassin's Creed game these days. which they also announced there's exclusive content coming to the PS4. And this is another one of the things I'm hearing from a lot of people. And it's one of those things that where I'm glad I'm actually watching other people's videos, because if they hadn't pointed this out to me, I never would have even considered this angle, which is the idea that having a console exclusive game is one thing, but releasing the game on multiple platforms and then turning around and saying, well, you can only get the full experience if you buy it on this console because we'll give you all this extra stuff, that feels a little cheap. It's not making that experience better, it's making everyone else's experience worse, because now there's no reason to buy it on those consoles. There's less of a reason to play on your platform of choice, which, yeah, I'm seeing the negatives a lot less than I'm seeing the positives. I know that's just human nature to focus on the bad rather than the good, but in this particular case, I'm desperately trying to see how this would benefit the consumer in a lot of ways. But I want to make sure I don't just turn this into a gigantic rant about that, because we'll be here forever. And we need to talk about other things, like how the game actually looks. You know, there's a lot of concept here. It's again one of those things where we kind of have to rely on legacy more than what we know already, because if I remember correctly, both of the trailers were CG. Both of them were. We got one of Emma or Emily, I'll put it down at the bottom of the screen if I didn't get it right again, is just walking around a warehouse. She had some cool moments, like throwing that guy on the press. You could hear the audience go, ooh, when that happened. Because that's kind of one of those just cool James Bond moments where he's just using the environment to his advantage. And then there was the other one where we saw the syndicate aspect of it. That's group of people that are all together and working towards the same goal. And he goes into that place and convinces this guy's entire posse of minions or lackeys. Minions is something else. I'm not even going to talk about that game, by the way. That whole Minions mobile game. No, I've got bigger fish to fry. Explaining, I see a lot of, they're trying to tell us what the final game is going to be like in a very stylized way. I just wish they had enough confidence in the product itself to show off in-engine how this kind of thing is going to work. But I think after the whole Unity debacle, everyone's playing it as safe as they possibly can at Ubisoft right now. It's like, we don't want that to happen again. We need as much goodwill as we can possibly muster, even if we kind of have to BS our way to get there in some aspects. So, while I don't agree, I totally understand. I mean, it's fun to watch. Whether or not it's fun to play, we'll see. Like always, we'll wait till the launch, read the reviews, and hope it comes out good this time. Last game of the Ubisoft show was Ghost Recon Wildlands. Now, the way the trailer was presented, number one, we had a lot of gameplay. And the gameplay, surprise, surprise, is what actually got me excited about this, is the possibilities it presented. And it didn't have color, per se, but it had a lot of personality. It reminded me a lot of the tone that Crackdown was going for, where criminals are both vile human beings, and they're kind of funny at the same time, because of the way they handled the situations. Like, you can be a ninja about this, where you infiltrate and you hold everybody there hostage without even firing a single bullet, take the guy alive, throw him in a trunk and make him face justice, or you can just go in guns blazing, steal his truck of product, and that moment. This was one of the coolest moments of the Ubisoft conference, right up there with the South Park Fractured But Whole reveal trailer, is when the sniper just walks away. That line of, don't waste the bullet, he's a dead man walking anyway. The idea that a player could have that aha moment, and that'll count as a victory condition in the game, is like, I've never seen anything like that before. I don't think outside of a Hitman game, you can come up with so many creative ways to kill people, to take people down, to fracture this cartel from the inside out, and like they said in the trailer, make the monsters eat each other. Again, it's one of those things where I'm excited for the possibility. Like, what they're hinting at here, if that's just a small taste of all the creative things you can do, like, if I doubt this is going to happen, but if you can get up to, like, Dishonored level stuff of figuring out ways to take out the members of this cartel, or render them a non-issue anymore if you don't necessarily kill them, then this is going to be a really fun game. This is going to be one that it's going to be my entry point for the Ghost Recon series, is being able to hop online with a couple friends and just cause some chaos, or orchestrate these really intricate plans that will eventually go awry, and then everything just erupts into constant disorder. And I know I'm speculating here. I know I'm blowing things out of proportion far more than they could possibly be, but hey, 'tis the season for hype, so I'm allowed to be excited for just a wee bit. Allow me that frivolity for a little bit. So what's the final verdict on Ubisoft? This was an interesting conference in that it gave me a lot of games I didn't know I wanted until they told me about it. Like, I didn't even know a sequel to Stick of Truth was happening. I had no idea I actually wanted to try out Wildrun. TrackMania is one of those things I want to try out just because of the possibilities that are offered to me, and same thing with Ghost Recon. It's one of those things where it was interesting to watch simply for what I was shown, which I think is the best place a conference can be in. It's one of those shows where overall I'm just left going, well that's interesting. That's got a lot of things I want to see more of. It did its job in the sense that I'm excited to play a lot of these things. It got me interested in a lot of things that I hadn't even known about yet, which, hey, what more can you ask for out of a conference? That's basically a marketer's dream. They did exactly what they needed to do. So, in that sense, where do I put these guys? Because it didn't have as many great moments as Microsoft, so it's a matter of who was better. Below Microsoft, who is fighting for last place right now? Was it Ubisoft or EA? South Park or Star Wars? Ghost Recon or... Yeah, no, Pele brings it down too much. We're putting Ubisoft over EA, so now the scorecard is EA, Ubisoft, Microsoft, and then we jump a couple light years up to Bethesda. So, how will the next conference shake things up? Quite a bit, as it might turn out, because now we're gonna get into the one everybody's talking about. Let's discuss Sony.